Hi people, I'm doing a section on various leaders and the coming eclipse and eclipses. I'm looking at the moment at the horoscope of Tony Abbott, the President or Prime Minister of Australia, who was born on the 4th of November 1957, and if the information I've been given is correct, he was born around 4 AM in the morning in London in the UK, making him Scorpio with Libra rising and a moon in early Aries. And when I look at his chart, on the surface it's not too bad. Now I'm well aware that many people in Australia think that Tony Abbott is somewhere politically to the right of Genghis Khan, and that he makes Adolf Hitler like a soft left-wing liberal. However, looking at his horoscope, it's very clear to me that A, he is a patriot, even though he wasn't born in Australia, but he does consider himself Australia as his homeland, and he does believe in homeland. It's also clear to me that this is a guy who's not worried around public image. He doesn't care what other people think about him. He's out there in the world and he's going to make his impact and he's going to do his best. Simple as that. And if other people don't like it, that's their problem. He's actually got some rather nice aspects going on at the moment. Pluto is opposite his midheaven, which is a bit of a stinker, and Uranus is squaring his midheaven, which does make me question his personal security and make me think that he needs to get his bodyguards right, particularly with the political stance he's taking with regard to the un-Islamic state or the non-Islamic state situation at the moment. But Pluto is also sextiling his Sun all of this year, suggesting that not only is his own self-confidence growing incredibly, but also his stature and his public image are growing very well indeed. Over the coming years, Pluto's working well with him, Neptune's not touching him, Uranus is not really giving him any grief. In many ways, Uranus trining his Saturn at the moment is making him far more, it's bringing a degree of flexibility into some of his more rigid boundaries, I suspect. He was born with the Sun exactly square Uranus and very strongly square Chiron. So perhaps his older capacity for self-sabotage and shooting himself in the foot may resurface again. But if so, it would have done so in the last couple of weeks while Jupiter's been squaring his Sun and on his Uranus. He seems to have grasped the metal. And over this coming time, the Jupiter-Uranus trine is actually looking at him quite well. Saturn's not giving him any grief, and I have to assume that at the moment he's looking pretty good over the coming year with Saturn trining his Sun. He's going to be seen as someone who's actually quite stable, solid, middle of the road. So I'm sorry to disappoint a number of my Australian clients, but it does seem as if he's entrenched in the Australian political driving seat for the foreseeable future. With all of the amount of Sagittarius in his chart and a strong degree of Libra as well, even though he's a Scorpio, he is concerned around world affairs and he will take Australia out into the greater world. Ultimately, however, 2 to 3 years down the line, his second Saturn return is coming up in 2 years' time. Jupiter's going to move over his Sun in 2 to 3 years' time. I suspect that what we're seeing now is the heyday of Tony Abbott. And I suspect that in the coming year, maybe the coming 14 to 16 months, he's going to establish his reputation and become a world politician. But I've got this funny feeling that somewhere down the line, somewhere around the start of 2015, his capacity for self-sabotage and shooting himself in the foot will reoccur again. So I don't see him as, I do see him as a world statesman in many ways, but I don't see him as a long-term career politician. I'm fairly convinced that give it another 2 or 3 years and his next defeat in the polls, and he'll retire and become a CEO of some Australian mining company or something like that. Make no mistake, this is not the horoscope of someone who is left-wing socialist and who cares about the plight of the downtrodden. This is more someone who's more as concerned, perhaps not more concerned, but as concerned around the idea of the economy and making money. As I say, he's quite right-wing. Nevertheless, it looks like he's around for the time being, so you best make the best of it in Australia. Sorry folks, alright, catch you later, bye.